The forest had always been Claire's favorite escape. The cool, pine-scented air, the rhythmic crunch of leaves beneath her boots, it calmed her. She hadn't planned on being out long, just enough to clear her head. But as the sun sank lower, the once familiar trail began to shift. She stopped, glancing around. Had she taken a wrong turn? The trees seemed closer together now, their skeletal branches clawing at the dimming sky. She turned back, retracing her steps, but the path she'd followed was gone. Claire's pulse quickened. She wasn't the type to panic, but as the forest darkened, the weight of isolation settled on her chest. Her phone had no signal, of course, just an empty no service mocking her from the screen. That was when she saw it. A cabin. It stood hunched among the trees, its wooden frame sagging with age. The windows were dark, gaping like empty eye sockets. No signs of life, no smoke from a chimney, no sound from within, but it was shelter. Claire hurried toward it, nearly tripping on an exposed root. The door creaked open with an unsettling ease, as if welcoming her in. The inside smelled of damp wood and decay. Dust coated every surface, swirling in the weak slivers of moonlight filtering through cracks in the walls. There was an old chair in the corner, a tattered couch against one wall, and a fireplace filled with ash. A wooden table stood near the window, one of its legs slightly shorter than the others. No signs of recent use, but also no signs that she wasn't alone. She shut the door and locked the rusted bolt. It didn't feel secure, but it was something. She told herself she'd just rest until morning. Then came the first knock, soft, almost polite. Claire's breath hitched. She turned toward the window, expecting to see a lost hiker or maybe a ranger, someone else stranded out here. But when she peered outside, she saw only darkness. The forest stood still. The knocking came again. 3 slow, deliberate taps against the glass. A cold dread settled into her bones. She knew there was nothing outside. She had seen it herself, just trees and empty night. And yet, something was knocking. She backed away, gripping the fireplace poker with shaking hands. Then, thump! A heavy impact against the door. The wood groaned under the force. The doorknob rattled, the bolt straining against it. Something was trying to get in. Claire pressed herself against the far wall, her breath shallow, ears straining. Silence. Maybe it was a bear? But bears didn't knock. They didn't whisper. Because now, from just beyond the door, she heard a voice. "Claire, let me in." She choked on a gasp. The voice sounded almost human, but wrong. Stretched, distorted, like someone was trying to sound like her, but didn't quite know how. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing herself to wake up. This had to be a nightmare. The whisper came again, right against the wood. "Claire, open the door." No. She curled into the corner, gripping the poker so tight her knuckles ached. The thing outside circled the cabin, its footsteps crunching through the dead leaves. Long, scraping sounds followed, nails or claws dragging along the wooden walls. It did this for hours. She wanted to cry, to scream, but she knew she couldn't. She had to be silent, still, invisible. At some point, exhaustion took over, and she slipped into a restless half-sleep. When she opened her eyes again, it was morning. A weak, pale light seeped through the cracks. The silence was thick. The air inside felt different, lighter, almost safe. Had it left? She unbolted the door and slowly pushed it open. Her stomach turned to ice. The cabin's exterior was covered in blood. Thick, dark streaks smeared the walls and door as if something had clawed at it all night. Long gashes marred the wood, deep grooves that splintered the surface. And then she saw the footprints, bare, bloody, leading away from the cabin. Her stomach churned as she followed them with her eyes, her breath caught in her throat. They disappeared into the trees, and they looked just like hers.